Good evening. Thank you for coming back to the S.U.R.E Parenting channel. I wanted to talk about a topic that's come up several times in the past maybe month or so with a lot of different clients. And what they're experiencing is a lot of frustration with their kid. Same, right? Like we've all had that experience, but it's rather specific. Their brain's story is, oh my God, you are just like insert other parent's name. In these instances, the parents have gotten divorced, in some cases quite dramatically. Like there's a lot that went into that becoming necessary. And so there's a lot of animosity towards the other parent, a lot of hurt. And when the child then demonstrates a behavior that the parent had seen in their former spouse, there's anger and frustration, but there's also fear. There's a big fear of what that will mean for this child. Are they going to become a narcissist? Are they going to become somebody who hurts somebody in their relationship? Are they going to not ever care about other people and just lack empathy? And it makes sense to an extent that if we see something, behavior wise that has hurt us before, we're going to feel bothered by it, right? Of course. But one of the things to remember is that the problem isn't the 3-year-old that acts like a 3-year-old. The problem is the 30-year-old who acts like a 3-year-old, right? And so it's not that the child is acting like their parent, it's that the child is acting like a kid, and the parent is also still acting like a kid in these particular examples. And separating that out to where, yeah, that behavior bothers me when it's coming from an adult, because I don't expect it to come from an adult because it's a childish behavior. And it should come from a 3-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 2-year-old or whatever age child that is, because they're a child. Their brain isn't fully developed. They are not supposed to be thinking about everybody else first. That's not how their brain works yet. And that isn't narcissism, that's childhood. And so when there's a split in a family, there's a lot of emotions that come with that, and a lot of times a lot of fear. So I have been talking through this experience with these different clients, and one of the exercises that we're doing to provide some balance for their brain is to make a list of the qualities that their ex has that are positive. So that when their brain goes, oh my God, she's going to be just like her dad, or oh my God, she's going to be just like her mom, or oh my God, he's going to be just like his dad, or oh my God, he's going to be just like his mom. I've seen all of those examples in the past couple months. They can look at that list and go, yeah, they're going to be intelligent. They're going to be creative. They're going to be strong, tenacious, determined, right? Even somebody who's done something pretty awful to you can have positive qualities or traits. I kind of envision people like a big pie and there's lots of slices. And even if a lot of those slices are yucky, and maybe that whole pie is rotten for you, but that doesn't mean that there aren't elements or slices that have positive connotations too. And even some of the negative connotations have a positive side. It's when pushed to their extremes that they become problematic. So, your child maybe is really creative, and that looks like they argue a lot and they're always trying to change your mind, and they can always, try to find a loophole and see 27 different ways to interpret things. And it can feel frustrating, right? Because your ex used to never let you get a word in edgewise and always try to talk down to you or condescend to you or say that they were more intelligent than you. And that's really, really frustrating. But that's not what your kid is doing. So we have to separate the behavior as applied by the ex versus the behavior as seen in the child that's adaptive. A kid who's really creative and can make lots of different arguments and ask lots of good questions, that is a very healthy skill. If they were to use that skill to abuse their partner emotionally or psychologically, that is not healthy, right? But it's not the skill of intelligence or creativity that is the problem. It's how it was applied. And they are still, in all of these circumstances, being exposed to their other parent still. And in all of these circumstances, that's a good thing. Kids need their parents. And even if the marriage is not good for you, that doesn't mean that it would be worth completely severing the relationship between them and their parent. In some circumstances, that is a necessary thing. In these circumstances, it's not. And so, yeah, your brain trying to make those connections. I mean, our brains are pattern detecting machines. That's what they do. That's how they make sense of the world. So yeah, you've detected this similarity, this pattern, but one is not the other. They are not the same, right? And so what can you do? You already had a child with this person. They're going to get traits from them. That's how it works. Blame the chromosomes. But you can clean up your side of the street. You can model honesty, integrity, compassion, respect, empathy, trust, connection, creativity, calmness, like all of these things, right? You can teach them how to communicate their needs and their boundaries. You can teach them how to respect somebody's needs and boundaries by holding your own. You can talk to them like a person, listen to them, value them, so they learn what it feels like to listen and value another person. You can do a lot on your end, even if your ex isn't. And it is hard when somebody has hurt us because it's really easy to stack all of their negatives and kind of disregard the positives because it doesn't really matter anymore. Those positives are irrelevant to us because we're done with them. Okay, but they're still the parent of the child. They are your ex, but they're not your child's ex anything. And for that sake, for the sake of making sure that your child doesn't grow up to hate half of themselves, do this exercise. Find a positive. Even in the most frustrating humans, there can be a positive. Maybe they took that positive too far. Okay, cool. But that trait in and of itself doesn't have to be a negative. And if you can identify those, then when your brain thinks about your kid becoming like this person, you can specifically point to why that's okay. Yeah, maybe they will be. They'll be strong. They will be intelligent. They will be a fighter. They will be passionate, right? And as you're doing this, if you find that you just keep thinking of negative ones and it's really hard to get past those, write those down on a different list. It's fine to have a negative list too. It will get them out of the way so that you can think of other ones. If you really struggle with this, look up core values. Just look up a list of core values. There's lots of them online. And you can go through those and see which ones apply, right? And then if you really get into it, figure out which ones you're teaching your kid. One of my clients, we had this whole exercise, this whole conversation this week, and lots of good progress was made. And all of a sudden, she said, you know, I was actually really stubborn as a child. And I thought it was really funny because this whole time we thought the stubbornness came from dad. Maybe it came from mom. And if that trait were to come from you, would it still seem like a bad trait? Right? Is it bad for a girl to be stubborn? Not necessarily. Not at all, really. Does that mean that she's not afraid of what people think about her? That she's able to be true to herself, have an opinion, share her opinion, push for change when it really matters? Stubborn can work, right? So give yourself a little room and a little space to play with these ideas, to ask yourself, what else could this mean? If your 4-year-old doesn't think about you first, that's because they're 4. They're not supposed to. That doesn't mean they're going to be a narcissist. Yes, your husband should have, but he was an adult. This is a little kid. They are our dependent. We are not dependent on them. It is supposed to be a one-way street. We're lucky. We get to enjoy the cuddles and the snuggles and the I loves yous and the sweet kisses and all of the things. But they don't owe us that. We decided to have them. We agreed to take care of them, not the other way around. And if we are applying expectations to a little kid that would also apply to a spouse, we need to change some things. Okay. So this has come up a lot, like a lot lately. So I wanted to make a video on it. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to give you an option, an exercise you can do. And remember not to say to your kid in disgust that they're turning out just like their parent. They're not disgusted by their parent, most likely. You're saying it to be hurtful. You're saying it from a place of anger and frustration. If you need to say it to a trusted friend, say it to me, say it in your journal and then burn it, but don't put that on a little kid because they didn't create the divorce. They just want to have a relationship with both of their parents. And you can't control the other parent, but you can make a lot of impact by controlling your side of things. I hope that makes sense to you. I understand how difficult it can be to be married to somebody who doesn't respect you, who betrays your trust. It's awful. And I empathize with how hard that's been for you. And I also empathize with that little kid because they lost a lot and they didn't get to make a choice about any of it. So with that in mind, we want to give them lots of grace, meet them where they're at, have realistic expectations, make sure we separate our feelings about our ex from our feelings about our kid. And when we do that, we will find that our relationship with our child improves. That's what's happening for these guys that are going through that right now. So I hope that helps you. If you need to talk about your situation, if you're feeling flustered and frustrated and irritated, reach out. You can schedule a free call at bit.ly/callsammy and I will help you too. Talk to you later. Bye guys.